George, first of all, thanks for joining us. Hope things are well for you.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, no complaints.
Good. George, it just seems from that first season where you ended up going to the Stanley Cup final, you guys have been on a mission to probably make bigger and bolder moves than we've seen combined from maybe 6-8 teams, and just rifling off a few names like Robin Leonard, Pietrangelo, Eichel, Stone, and now you guys start the season at 11-2. Is the fruits of your labor finally paying off here for you?
Well, it's amazing. Our first 4 years, we played in 11 playoff rounds. Pretty remarkable for an expansion team. And our objective from day one was to put the best team we could on the ice, and that was going to require some bold moves at times. And but that's what we're going to do to try to win. And there are different ways you can approach it. You can take the 4 or 5 year plan and try to draft that number 1D, that number 1 goalie, the 2 elite centers, and so on. We tried a different approach, and I thought it was really good for the Vegas market and really good for the NHL so far. So last year was a disappointment. We really got hammered with injuries. I think we're second in the league with 513 man games lost. It was just a really difficult season. This year, so far, we're fairly healthy, and you better be getting points when you're healthy, because there are going to be lots of times during the season you're not, and you're going to face some adversity, and it's going to be hard to get points. So we're trying to get them while we can.
One of those people you need healthy and has been healthy for you is Jack Eichel. Obviously, a lot has hinged on his success. Has he been what you expected as advertised? Has anything been different or surprised you about the way he's come back from that surgery and played for you guys to date?
Well, it was surprising how, and it's very elaborate surgery, but to go through that kind of surgery and come back and be playing in 3 months was remarkable. He probably could have played a little bit earlier, but they set the minimum at 3 months, and so obviously we wanted to make sure he got that amount of time to recover. And I think that what we like about him, obviously he's quite a talent, and he trains really hard. And I think what we're seeing now is a young man who's really becoming a very solid 200-foot player. Uses his strength well, shoots well, moves the puck well, but he's good in the defensive zone. He's good in the offensive zone. But he's very coachable, but there's always more room for growth. And that's, he's often the last player off the ice in practice. But his size and strength is impressive. And again, he wants to be a complete player, and sort of fits what we are trying to accomplish as well.
I'm not asking you to tell us that the store's shut between now and the trade deadline for Vegas, but my goodness, I look at your lineup 1 through 4, and I look at your defense, and the only I think question is the experience in net. But outside of that, I mean, I don't see many holes in your lineup.
Well, again, Nick, we're healthy, so you hope when you're healthy that you don't have too many deficiencies. But in the words of Lou Lamoriello, if you're not trying to get better everywhere, you're getting complacent. There's always something you can do to try and get better, and that's why these jobs drive you crazy sometimes. So, but. We like our team. We like the way they play as a team. Well-coached group, good bunch of guys. And, you just keep your fingers crossed and you hope for good fortune.
So you guys get the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, talented hockey club who has fallen short of expectations in the postseason, but obviously been very good in some regular season hockey over the years. I'm not sure if you're able to keep an eye on what's happening up here, but it was ugly for a bit here when they were 4-4-2. What is your perception of this year's Toronto Maple Leafs team, heading into your second matchup with them?
Well, I haven't seen them enough this year, and I was out of town when the Leafs played in Vegas. But it's a good team. They've won 3 in a row, and it's so early. You know, they're a 500 team. Over, you know, we're 13 games in. It really means nothing. There are lots of teams that have had slow starts, so they're going to have great finishes, and some teams that have had real good starts that may not finish. You just don't know. It's that early. So they've got some elite guys up front that always make them dangerous. They can beat you on the power play, and if you're not careful. So they're like anybody else you play in this league now. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat you at any time. It's a really good league. It's just a really good league. You don't know from one night to the next if you're going to win or lose, and that's pretty impressive.
Hey, George, I want to ask you about how you've seen the goaltending market evolve throughout your career here, because in a perfect world, who wouldn't want a Vasilevsky or a Marc-Andre Fleury or Carey Price in their prime to win a Stanley Cup? But when you see the likes of Darcy Kemper do it and still be expendable, what does that mean? And now you've gone to a guy like Logan Thompson, and how's his progression been? And is it fair that a guy with that lacks experience now takes on a team that is supposed to be contending for the Stanley Cup? Is that the new norm now in net?
Well, I do think most clubs would like to have a tandem approach. The league is so good; it requires so much of these guys to play 60-something games. There aren't many guys that can do it and stay sharp and be good for you in the playoffs. So, we're trying the tandem approach. Didn't have much of a choice, to be honest with you. We lost our starting goalie on August 15th. But we like these 2 young goaltenders. We had Logan, he's a talented guy. Mike Greer called us about Aiden Hill. Our staff had time for him. And I just think, we like what Boston has done the last few years with a tandem approach. I think it's healthy for your goalies to approach it like that so they can stay fresh and focused. And so that's what we're trying to do. Goalies move around now more than they probably ever have, but that's probably more cap-related than anything. Darcy Kemper wins a cup, but he's on a different team the next year. That's unusual, but cap-related. And, the flat cap we've had for the last few years has really made it difficult for some clubs. You have to move some players you don't want to move, but there's no other choice because the cap is puts you in that position.
And what have you seen out of Logan? Is he exceeded your expectations, or is he right where you thought he'd be?
I don't think we're surprised, Nick. He's a very talented guy. Played really, really well in the American League. Won a lot of games for us when the team was outplayed. In addition to the talent, he competes really hard. He doesn't give up on anything in practice. And I think that, your teammates like that, they're coming in and trying to score every time they come in to force you to be better, to make them better shooters. And you're in there, Logan's in there giving it everything he's got to deny you. And first rebound, second rebound, third rebound in practice, he doesn't give up on any of it. And so I know Sean Burke has been really impressed with that part of his game, and Sean has liked Aiden Hill over the years. So I think if you ask him, he's pretty happy with both of them.
George, I look at your guys' team and how solid you are in the back end. Your decor obviously has a lot of talented players. I look at the Avalanche who just won a cup. Same thing, wonderful decor. I feel like that's such an integral part of having success in today's NHL. I just want to get your philosophy on team building. Do you think that's the most important part of building a successful team in today's NHL, and has it always been like that?
Yeah, I think so. it's you don't ever want to get too thin on the blue line because you can really be exposed back there. And I really like the way that our blue line has been constructed. And the good news is we have some young guys in the American League that look like they're going to be real good defensemen as well. And so when you're in this spot where you've got it's well constructed, you can take your time in developing the other guys. You don't have to bring them up too early. They're not on yo-yos, and they just develop at the right pace. And we went through it with White Cloud and Haig, and Derek in England had hit a point in his career where his game was starting to fall off, and it was he was aging out, and we were able to insert White Cloud in there, and he had 130 American League games under his belt. So he filled the hole, and he did a good job. And Nick Hague, 130 games in the American League. And so it's nice when you're in that situation where you don't have to force young guys into your lineup, because they typically, if they're too young, they don't get better very quickly, and they miss out on some development, and they really don't help you win. So, the defense is important to us. We're strong down the middle. We've got a good blue line. We're happy with the goalies. So, again, you put it together and then you cross your fingers and hope it works.
One more for me, George. Just early, what have you seen out of your head coach, Bruce Cassidy, and ultimately, what did you see in the offseason that led you to him?
Well, as you know, Nick, I hired him in Washington many years ago, and I thought he was ready and still believe that he was. It didn't work out, but at that time, I think he believed he was a good coach. I think now he knows he's a good coach, and there's a big difference there. I really like him as a coach and as a person. His technical packages are all common sense. It allows players to use and trust their IQ and their instincts. But as you know, Nick, it's more than that. It's to be a good coach in the NHL, you have to do a lot of things well, and he does, and you have to be a lot of things, and he is. And just thought he was, we just got the sense that Boston might be doing something, and I talked to Kelly about him, and Boston made a move, and we been on the phone with Butch and then had a couple of Zoom calls, and it went really well, and we were pretty aggressive in trying to get him. Didn't know whether we were or not, but we made our best pitch, and it worked out.
Well, congrats on the early success, and we are so looking forward to tonight's game. George, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, should be a real good game. Thanks, Nick. Thanks,
okay.
Justin. Take care of you guys.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
George McPhee, President of Hockey Operations for Vegas.